There comes a moment in life when the weight of everything presses down so heavily that even the simplest breath feels like carrying the world on your shoulders. You look around and suddenly the familiar places, the people you thought you knew, even the dreams you once chased, they all seem to dissolve into something distant, almost unrecognizable. There are days when you wake up and the world feels strangely silent, as if every sound is muffled, and even your own heart is asking, "What is happening to me?" It feels as though the ground beneath you is shifting, and what once gave you comfort no longer has a place in your soul. Relationships that once defined you begin to fall apart. Passions that once gave you fire now flicker out, and suddenly you wonder if you are losing yourself. But listen closely. This is not the destruction of who you are. It is the unveiling of who you have always been. What if this heaviness you are carrying is not punishment, but preparation? What if the confusion, the emptiness, the feeling that everything is slipping away is really the universe rearranging itself inside you? It may feel like you are unraveling, but perhaps you are simply being rewoven into a more authentic pattern, a truer design of your soul. This is not the end of your story, but the beginning of a chapter your spirit has been waiting lifetimes to write. And maybe, just maybe, what you are experiencing is not a breakdown at all, but the first breath of your spiritual awakening. In this journey together, let us step gently into the mystery and uncover the 7 unmistakable signs that your awakening is real. 1. The quieting of the inner voice. You may begin to notice something subtle, almost unexplainable, happening within you. The constant chatter in your mind, the voice that never stops narrating, begins to soften. For years, perhaps for your entire life, that voice has been with you, telling you what to do, what to fear, what to avoid, even what to chase. And suddenly, it is not as loud as it once was. At first, this quiet can feel unsettling, even frightening, because you may wonder, without that voice, who am I? Without that constant narration, will I lose myself? But what if this silence is not a loss at all? What if it is the very thing your soul has been longing for? In truth, silence is not emptiness. It is spaciousness. It is freedom. It is the first taste of living beyond the voice of the ego that has kept you small for so long. Imagine, for a moment, that the mind is like a crowded marketplace, filled with noise, bargaining, shouting, movement everywhere. And suddenly, the marketplace grows still. The stalls vanish, and all that remains is open space and a soft breeze of peace. At first, the quiet feels strange because you are so used to the noise. But soon you notice how beautiful it is to breathe in that space, how much lighter your heart feels without the weight of constant commentary. And in that silence, something new is born. The awareness of your true self, not the voice that talks about life, but the one who simply lives it. So the question is no longer, what will I lose if the voice disappears? But rather, what will I gain when I no longer mistake the voice for who I am? Ask yourself gently, what does silence feel like for me? Is it something to fear? Or is it the very doorway to peace that I've been seeking all along? 2. A shift in relationships. As your awakening deepens, something begins to shift quietly but unmistakably within the fabric of your relationships. Suddenly, certain friendships that once felt so close begin to feel strangely distant, like two instruments that were once in harmony, now drifting out of tune. The conversations that once filled you with joy may start to feel empty. The laughter that once bonded you may sound hollow, and the people who used to understand your heart may now seem as if they are speaking a language you no longer recognize. At first, this can feel unsettling, even painful, because the human heart longs for belonging, and to feel that the familiar places of connection no longer fit can stir a sense of loneliness deep inside you. But what if this isn't rejection? What if it isn't loss? What if it is simply life gently guiding you out of rooms that no longer hold your light? so that you may walk into spaces where your soul is truly seen. Because as some connections fade, you begin to notice something else. New souls appearing, almost as if they were waiting for you all along. People who see the world through eyes similar to yours, who speak a language that resonates not with your mind but with your heart. These new connections feel different. Not rushed, not forced, but natural, as though you have known them for lifetimes, and when you speak with them, there is no need to pretend, no need to shrink, no need to wear a mask. This shift, while tender and sometimes bittersweet, is not punishment. It is alignment, the gentle rearranging of your life so that the people who remain are those who truly match your vibration. And yes, it may feel lonely at times, as though you are walking between worlds. The old one dissolving and a new one not yet fully formed. But in that space, there is a sacred trust being built. A trust that life knows who belongs beside you. So instead of clinging to what is slipping away, can you soften into the mystery of who is arriving? Can you see that every ending is also the clearing of space for a more truthful beginning? Ask yourself gently, who in my life feels like true resonance? Like a song that vibrates through my entire being? And who feels like a fading echo of something I have already outgrown? 3. Loss of old passions. There comes a moment on this path when the things that once lit you up, the music that once stirred your heart, the hobbies that once defined your free time, even the goals you once pursued with such determination, begin to feel strangely empty in your hands. You may sit with an old guitar, brush your fingers across the strings, and feel only silence where once there was song. Or you may open a book that used to bring you joy, and instead find only stillness staring back at you. And in those moments, a whisper of fear may creep in. You may wonder, what's wrong with me? Why do I no longer care about the things that once shaped me? The very things that gave me a sense of who I was. But the truth is, nothing is wrong. You are simply outgrowing skins that no longer fit. Just as a tree must shed its leaves in autumn, or a snake must release the skin it has long outlived. What you are experiencing is not loss, but expansion. Your soul is gently making room, clearing away what is no longer alive, so that something new, something more authentic, something that vibrates with who you are becoming can enter. It can feel uncomfortable, because the old passions gave you an identity. They gave you structure, they gave you familiarity. And without them, you may feel like you are standing in an empty room with bare walls, unsure of who you are anymore. But emptiness is not the end. It is the beginning. It is the quiet space where the new passions of your soul will be planted, where the seeds of your truest desires will begin to grow. Even if for now they are only whispers, only sparks, only small fragile shoots. Perhaps you do not yet know what these new passions are. Perhaps they feel uncertain or too small to matter, but do not dismiss them. For even the smallest flame can grow into a fire that warms your entire life. So instead of clinging to what has fallen away, ask yourself softly, what feels alive in me now? Even if it is tender, even if it is new, even if it is only the faintest spark. Because the truth is, your soul is always moving you closer to what is real. And every passion that falls away is simply life whispering, this is not you anymore. You are becoming something greater. 4. Heightened sensitivity to energy. As your awakening deepens, you may begin to notice that your body and your spirit no longer move through the world in the same way they once did. Suddenly, it feels harder to stay in places that carry a heaviness, in rooms filled with false smiles, or in conversations where truth is absent. What once felt tolerable now feels unbearable. What you once ignored now seems impossible to overlook. And you may find yourself leaving gatherings or friendships where the energy feels heavy or fake, because your soul can no longer bear the weight of dishonesty. Lies, even the small ones, may now feel like sharp blades in your heart, and negativity that you used to brush off suddenly drains you so quickly, It feels as if the very life is being pulled out of your body. And though it can feel overwhelming at first, this heightened sensitivity is not weakness. It is awareness, the gentle awakening of your inner compass, showing you with unmistakable clarity where truth lives and where it does not. Your body itself becomes a messenger. You can feel when something is not right. You can sense when someone's words do not match their energy. You can almost taste the difference between what is real and what is illusion. At times, you may feel like you are too sensitive for this world, too open, too fragile. But remember, this sensitivity is not a curse. It is a gift, a sign that your soul is refining its vibration to align only with what nourishes, heals, and uplifts you. Imagine yourself as a finely tuned instrument, and when you step into certain spaces, the strings within you vibrate with dissonance, creating discomfort, while in other spaces they vibrate with harmony, filling you with peace and expansion. This is the wisdom of your soul speaking through sensation, through feeling, through the language of energy, reminding you that life is not only about what looks good on the surface, but about what feels true deep within. So the invitation is not to harden yourself against this sensitivity, but to honor it, to see it as guidance, to follow where your energy expands, and to gently step away from where your energy is drained. Ask yourself in stillness, when do I feel most drained, as though my spirit is shrinking? And when do I feel most alive, as though my very soul is breathing freely? 5. Time feels different. As you walk further into your awakening, one of the strangest and most mysterious changes you may notice is the way time itself begins to feel different. Sometimes hours pass in a flash, slipping through your hands like grains of sand, while other times a single moment stretches out so wide, it feels infinite. You may look at the clock and wonder how an entire day disappeared so quickly, as though time folded in on itself. Or you may sit in silence for only a few breaths and feel as though you've touched eternity itself in that single pause. The old way of living. The old way of living, where every second was counted, measured, and ruled by the ticking of the clock, suddenly no longer feels like the authority of your life, because something deeper within you knows that presence is greater than hours and minutes. You begin to sense that time is not as rigid as you were taught, that it bends, it softens, it stretches and contracts depending on the depth of your awareness, depending on how fully you are here, right now. And so when you are caught in the mind, when you are rushing, worrying, chasing, time feels harsh and fleeting. But when you fall into presence, into the stillness of simply being, time opens like a flower, revealing infinite petals within a single breath. In this way, awakening teaches you that the true measure of life is not how much time you have, but how deeply you live inside each moment, how fully you allow yourself to taste the richness of now. This realization can be disorienting at first, because it feels as though you are living outside of the usual rhythm, no longer keeping pace with the world that is always rushing forward. Yet slowly, you begin to see that this shift is not an accident. It is an invitation, a reminder that eternity is not found in the future or the past, but only here, in the living breath of the present dot. And so the question is not how many hours are left, but rather, when was the last time I felt timeless, when the world seemed to disappear, and only the purity of being remained? 6. Emotional waves. One of the most powerful signs of awakening is that your emotions begin to move through you like great waves. There are days when you may sink into deep sadness, feeling as though the weight of lifetimes is pressing upon your chest, and then suddenly, without warning, you may rise into intense joy, overflowing with light that you cannot contain. These swings may confuse you at first. You may ask yourself why you feel so much, why everything seems magnified, why every emotion seems to arrive with such force and intensity that it shakes the very ground beneath you. But the truth is, these emotional waves are not here to punish you. They are here to release you, to lift from your being all the old wounds, the forgotten memories, the suppressed pain that has long been waiting for the light of your awareness. Every tear you shed, every ache that rises, every burst of laughter that comes out of nowhere is part of the cleansing. The storm that clears the sky so that the sun can shine unobstructed once again. It is important to remember that you are not the storm itself. You are the sky behind it. You are not the waves. You are the vast ocean that holds them. And every swell, every crash, every calm that follows is simply part of your becoming. So, when the sadness comes, let it come. When the joy arrives, let it flood you. When anger, grief, or longing rise up from within, do not fight them, but breathe them, feel them, and allow them to pass through like clouds drifting across the endless sky of your being. The more you resist, the longer the storm lingers. But when you soften, when you trust, the waves move on, leaving behind a clearer, brighter you. These emotions are not obstacles on your path. They are the path itself. The sacred cleansing that makes space for deeper love, deeper peace, and deeper freedom than you have ever known. Ask yourself with honesty and gentleness, what emotions am I still holding on to that long to be released? What storms inside me are asking to finally clear the sky of my heart? 7. A subtle knowing of change. There comes a moment in your journey when nothing on the outside has changed. Yet inside, something is quietly stirring, like a whisper too soft for the mind but undeniable to the heart. You can't explain it to others. You can't point to proof, and yet you feel it in the marrow of your bones. The undeniable sense that life is shifting, preparing to unfold in a new direction. It is not loud like a trumpet announcing its arrival, but soft and steady, like the first drop of rain that promises a coming storm, or the first faint glow of dawn that assures you the sun is near. This subtle knowing does not come from your mind's logic or your senses. It arises from the deeper intelligence of your spirit. The quiet voice within that has always guided you even when you didn't know you were listening. You may feel an unexplained anticipation, as though the air around you has become charged with possibility, as though the path beneath your feet is already shifting even if your eyes cannot yet see the road ahead. Perhaps it shows up as restlessness. You no longer fit into the old patterns. The conversations that once felt alive now seem hollow, and the places that once felt like home now feel too small for the vastness of who you are becoming. Other times it feels like a gentle ache in your soul, as though a door is nearby, waiting to be opened, and your whole being knows that once you step through, life will never be the same again. This sense of change is not here to frighten you. It is here to prepare you, to align you, to stretch your awareness so that when the moment arrives, you are ready to receive it fully with open hands and open heart. You are not being abandoned to uncertainty. You are being invited into the mystery, into the sacred unfolding of your own path, into the trust that what is waiting is not random but deeply meant for you. Ask yourself gently, without expectation, what do I feel is waiting for me beyond the horizon? What quiet promise is life whispering into my soul? And am I willing to trust this knowing even before I see its form? If you find yourself walking through these signs, let this be your reminder. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are not behind. You are awakening. And every moment of confusion is really the light rearranging your life into something truer. This journey, though at times heavy and uncertain, is not meant to punish you, but to guide you back to the deepest home you will ever know. The home within yourself, the place where your spirit has always waited patiently for you to return. And yes, there will be moments when you don't understand, when the world feels upside down, when the old ways no longer fit, yet the new ways have not fully appeared. But trust, because this is the sacred in-between, the place where your soul is reshaping itself to carry more truth. I want you to pause, to breathe, and to listen. not just with your ears, but with your whole being. And ask yourself, which of these signs speaks most deeply to my soul in this very moment? Which truth is knocking on the door of my heart asking to be heard? And if even a single word of this message touches you, if even one spark lands in your heart, I invite you to speak it into the world by leaving a comment below with the words, "I am awakening into my truth," so that your voice joins the chorus of others remembering who they really are. Because when you say these words, you are not just declaring it for yourself. You are planting a seed of awakening into the field of humanity. You are rippling an energy that will touch others who need it, reminding them that they too are not alone. And if your heart feels called to walk further with me on this unfolding path of awakening, to explore these truths more deeply, to be reminded again and again of the beauty of who you are becoming, then don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay connected. Because together, we are weaving something larger than ourselves.